The Alabama Crimson Tide are making their 28th appearance in the NCAA tournament this weekend as they are going down to Hattiesburg to take on Miami and the Southern Miss Regional. And on this edition of the Stingray Show, we are going to be doing a deep dive into the Hattiesburg Regional with our good friend Heath Hinton of Big Gold Nation to get his take on how he feels Southern Miss will do hosting their regional and talk about the matchups there in Hattiesburg. That's right now on this edition of the Stingray Show.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Those of you on Tide 100.9, look out. You're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
And with all of that, I want to welcome you inside yet another edition of the Stingray Show in Heath. For those of you on the radio, I had a cap on that says Southern Miss to open the show, but I got rid of it because I am not a hat guy. I do not look good in them.
What do you look good in, Steven?
Polos, my friend.
I was hoping you were going to say like beach thongs or something.
No, but hey, we have a really good regional that we're talking about this evening, and that is the Hattiesburg Regional that is stacked with Southern Miss, Alabama, and of course, the blue blood in the 90s of the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, looking forward to this regional. I'm not really concerned about Columbia. I don't think anyone's concerned about Columbia. I think Columbia is excited about Columbia, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But really looking forward to this regional. Miami is trying to get back to where they were. This was the they made every postseason since 1957. They missed out last year.
Yeah.
And so, that's a big deal, man. You were in postseason play in baseball every year since 1957, and you missed last year. New coach last year, it's in his second year now. They're trying to get things going back in the right direction. But, Steven, it's going to be interesting. But you know what? Everyone's getting the storylines except for Alabama.
Yeah.
Rob Vaughn stepped into a crazy situation there in Tuscaloosa, and he has done nothing but slightly overperformed, and yet he's not getting the love. Now, with that being said, Southern Miss never gets the love.
I know,
and
yeah.
Southern Miss always plays the underdog card because they are. That's who they are. That's who they pride themselves on being. And so really looking forward to this. So look at it like this, Stephen. Columbia, underdog, no one's talking about us. Southern Miss, hey, we're the underdog. No one ever gives us love and respect. Yeah. Alabama, look what we have done in the mighty SEC, and we're not getting any kind of love. Everyone's overlooking us. Miami, look, we are on the comeback. We are an underdog. Everyone has written us and our program off for dead of the slow decline, and we're trying to build it back. So every one of these teams is coming into this regional with a chip on their shoulder. And you know what that means, Stephen? Great baseball. Cannot wait for this regional. I think it's going to be one of the more exciting regionals. And our good friend Tom Hart from ESPN and SEC Network will be calling these games down there in Hattiesburg. We had Tom on the show here earlier this week.
And Heath, speaking of the host team, 44 wins and 14 losses, and Southern Miss is in a state with Mississippi State and Ole Miss, and unfortunately for the Golden Eagles, they get very little love on the national stage. So to break down the Hattiesburg Regional with the Golden Eagles winning 44 games this season, here is our good friend from Big Gold Nation who covers Southern Miss on a daily basis, Mr. Heath Hinton. Heath, how are things with you in Hattiesburg as you guys are getting ready to host another regional?
Well, first of all, hey, Stingray, and I love doing this. Hey, Heath, what's up, Heath? How you doing? We have a running joke with that because we never get to say "Hey Heath" to anybody else, so it's kind of
No,
fun when we
no.
get to
Say
do
my
it.
name. Say my name.
Say my name. Man, great to be on with you. Thanks for having me on. You know, uh, Southern Miss has now won 40 games for 9 straight seasons.
Awesome.
9 straight. That leads the nation in 40-win seasons.
Yes.
Hmm.
That's
Yep.
that's pretty tough feat when you're in the state of Mississippi.
Yes.
It is. Heath, I wanted to ask you really quick about this regional. Your thoughts going into it when you heard the bracket announced. What were your thoughts?
I was just kind of like, this is if Southern Miss is going to host, this is what happens. They always get a tough SEC team. You're going to get a good 3 and really a good 4. I mean, this is just when you're a 16 seed. This is the kind of region you get. So I really wasn't surprised at that aspect. I think it's a fun region. I think when you look at Miami, they did lose 7 of their last 8, but they still made it in. So they're kind of trying to get back to where they were. Alabama, what Rob Vaughn has done has been incredible. Especially coming in on the back of the mess that he had to deal with
Mhm.
what Bohannon was doing and different things. That was hey, kudos to him for getting Alabama to where they are now. That's an impressive feat. Columbia Ivy League, their SAT scores probably, there's the SAT of their starting 9 probably is higher than everybody else's teams added together in the field. And then you look at Southern Miss, who, yeah, they play the underdog, but this isn't nothing new for Southern Miss. They're there. Southern Miss now has hosted a regional or a super regional 3 of the last 4 years. And so it's not uncharted territory for them to be at home in the postseason and the pressure there. They're looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a fun region.
So, Heath, you mentioned just a second ago that Southern Miss has now won 40 games in a season for the last 9 years. Talk about that dominance, please, for the Southern Miss Golden Eagles.
Yeah, 40 wins 9 straight years leads the nation. It's just a testament to the stability and the consistency of a program. When you look at what they do and how they go about their business of doing it, the pitching, I think in 60 years they've had 5 coaches. 60 years, 5 coaches, consistency. Coaches coming through, and I'll go back. You got Pete Taylor, who Hill Denson coached for Pete Taylor. You got Corky Palmer, who coached for Hill Denson. You got Scott Berry, who coached for Corky Palmer. And now you have Christian Ostrander, who coached with Scott Berry. So the lineage, the consistency of the program, the message of the program, the way the fans, just it's a really weird, not a weird, but it's an incredible situation between the fan base and the team and how well they're glued together. And the Pete, it's a special place. You get to go to a game, you need to. It's a fun spot. It's a perfect, like everything just comes together perfectly and um, creates a program that a lot of people in the country, Power Four or even Group of Six, are maybe jealous of because of the consistency that they have. And right now, Southern Miss been to the World Series once before. Now they've won the regional. They've hosted super regionals. Now they're looking to make that next step to get to Omaha. And I think it'll be here before long, maybe this year, but they're on the path.
So, Heath, hold that thought because we are up against our first break. And when we come back, we are going to dive further into the Hattiesburg Regional and discuss Miami versus Alabama and then talk about Southern Miss's game as well. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will continue with the Hattiesburg Regional Preview Show right after this. Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. My guest this evening is Heath Hinton of Big Gold Nation, covering all things Southern Miss. as Southern Miss and Hattiesburg is hosting a regional that will begin tomorrow. And Heath, before we get into the matchups, talk about the excitement there around the program and especially around Hattiesburg with them hosting again, and especially with Alabama and Miami coming in.
A lot of excitement. First things first, we have to get out of the way. We're sorry there are no Applebee's in Hattiesburg. If you know the joke with Tennessee a couple of years ago,
I made the joke the other day on the show.
yeah, it's we have no Applebee's in Hattiesburg. Not that we're upset about that because we're not, but yeah, no Applebee's, so you're gonna have to eat local. Um, it is exciting. It is exciting, but Southern Miss has come to a point where they're, every year they're not. I talked to Coach Ostrander early in the season, and we talked about hosting and super regionals. And he made the statement. He said, "That's great." He said, "But the goal now is Omaha.
Yeah.
We've done that. The goal is to get to Omaha. They've been there before, so it can be done. But people are excited about the steps. They're excited about hosting. The Pete is a fun place. I mean, they sell out. People realize this. They sell out season tickets. They sell out all their stadium with season tickets before the season starts every year.
Right.
There are very few tickets for people just to walk up and buy to come to a Southern Miss game because they're all sold before the season starts. So it's just a great situation between the fans and the team and the right field roost. If you ever get a chance, tailgating in a ballpark, when you can go to the ballpark, drop your tailgate, drink a beer, barbecue, and sit behind the right field, it's a pretty good experience. I know Mississippi State had that. Now they have the condos, but there's something about being able to do that in a vehicle on top of a hill behind right field.
Yeah.
That just is fun. It's you don't see it everywhere, and just adds so much to the park. And yeah, it's a fun place. It's going to be a fun regional, and Southern Miss fans have a blast hosting them.
Yes.
Before I ask my question to you, I wanted to ask Stingray some fun things here. Stephen, I love geography.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know where Columbia is located?
In the Northeast, I believe.
I'll take that as a acceptable answer. New York City,
Okay.
and lo and behold, do you know what the mascot is?
A bear, I think.
Close, a lion.
Okay.
Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! Always go with one of those three, right? But anyway, Rory the Lion from Columbia, and I was like, oh, all right, But these guys are like downtown
Yeah.
New York City. I mean, they're on Broadway, the university. So, with all of that being said, Heath Hinton, I'm sure you have done your research on Columbia. I have not, and I'm not going to. What can you tell us about Rory the Lion and Columbia University coming to Hattiesburg?
They're a good team, Ivy League school. So what you say, they're smart baseball players. Yeah, New York City. I think maybe Hattiesburg might be a little bit of a culture shock for them if they've never been to the South. I'm going to be looking forward to that. I wonder what they're going to do when they see fried chicken in a gas station. That ought to be fun. Will they stop at a Buc-ee's? That's another one. Will they find a Buc-ee's to stop at on the way down?
Right.
They're a good team. The ERA, they got a kind of high ERA, somewhere around 6.7. Got a couple of guys that can hit the baseball. More of a bunt them over, small ball type of team, because that's what a lot of these Ivy League schools are when you play them. So really, just the quintessential Ivy League school. ERA is a little elevated, but still a dangerous team. They made a regional RPI of 66. A lot of teams would like to have that RPI, I guess, but
Oh yeah,
a school that is dangerous. You can't take them lightly. You got to go in and play good baseball.
Yeah.
But a 4 seed. Look, Southern Miss. I've always said this: at Southern Miss, they haven't said who they're going to pitch, and I have no idea. I'm always under the impression that if you're a 1 seed and you can't beat a 4 seed with your number 2 starter, you can't get to Omaha.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on that.
Heath, we've seen this at other regionals. And Stephen, I know you had a question. I'm going to make it quick. It's a quick follow-up. We've seen a lot of teams throw a midweek starter against a number 4. We've seen a number 1 seed in a regional throw a midweek starter. And I think that is a massively huge mistake. The Southern Miss, I'm okay if you throw a Sunday starter. I'm okay if you throw a Saturday starter. I'm okay if you throw your Friday night starter. But do you see a starter outside of your weekend starters starting that first game?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, there's no way that Ostrander would go with a bullpen guy or a midweek guy as a starter. No, you got to start when you got to win the game. You got to win the game. You can't take chances, and if you throw a bullpen out there, crazy things may happen. Johnny Holstaff's not the best way to go sometimes. So you need to start one of your weekend guys. I think he'll do that. Will he start JB? Who knows? They've done it in the past where, they played Army one year. They're a 4 seed, and they pitched their ace. And if it wasn't for the ace pitching, they wouldn't have won the game. So but then they went on to win the regional against LSU. So it can happen. It's just I don't see him pitching a midweek guy though. It will be a weekend arm.
Heath, going back to Columbia, all that I was going to say before we move on, oh my gosh, the nerds are invading Hattiesburg.
It's going to be a culture shock for Columbia. I would love to have a video for them coming into Hattiesburg and seeing barbecue joints and I say gas station fried chicken or just it's a different experience. This isn't New York. This is a much slower pace. Probably they're going to enjoy it because it's a little warmer for them down here. They might even enjoy it. So be interested to see. I know a lot of teams that come from up north early in the season really like traveling down here and playing because of the temps, and they don't get to play in front of size crowds they do when they come to Hattiesburg.
So Heath, let's go on ahead and break down the first game of the regional. That is tomorrow evening, or tomorrow afternoon, I should say, at 2 p.m. It is 31-24 Miami, the U, going up against 41-16, the University of Alabama. Heath, if you would break down the first game of the regional, please.
I think regionals are all about pitching.
Yeah.
I think they're all about pitching, and I think, Alabama being a 2 seed is going to have to throw their ace. They're going to have to throw their big righty. He's like 6'4", 250 pounds or something like that, righty. I think they're going to have to pitch him. Osmer, their closer, I think you're going to have to see him. I think they're going to have to go that route. And I think, Miami will have to throw their ace too. Interesting game. It's all about, pitching at this point because Alabama's got such a potent lineup. You look at LeBron, you look at Hodo, some of those guys, they can really hit the baseball. So does Miami have a pitcher that can come in and control, Alabama's offense and vice versa?
Right.
Can Miami get some offense against their ace? I think it's going to be a fascinating game. I really do. I do think Alabama's going to win, but I think, could the 3 upset the 2? Sure, but I think it's going to be I think Alabama's going to carry the day because of their starter and bringing in their closer. So to me, it's all about pitching in a regional. I'm taking Alabama.
So Heath, Hinton, hold that thought because we were up against another break, and when we come back, we are going to discuss the potential matchup on Saturday of Southern Miss versus Alabama in the winner's bracket. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will return with the Southern Miss Regional preview show right after this. Hey Tuscaloosa, it's time to start planning your incredible weekend at Iron City Comic Con. Guests will include Sean Ashton from The Goonies and Lord of the Rings, Matthew Lewis from Harry Potter, Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, and for any of you wrestling fans out there, Jake the Snake Roberts, Lex Luger, and Devon Dudley. They all will be at Iron City Comic Con, and Iron City Comic Con is May 31st through June the 1st at the BJCC. For more information, look up them on Facebook at the Iron City Comic Con and grab your tickets today. Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Hope all is well with everyone listening. And now let's continue our interview with Heath Hinton about the Southern Miss Regional in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So Heath, a quick follow-up to that. If you've got Southern Miss moving on, and then you've got Alabama moving on, break down that matchup that we could see on Saturday between Alabama and Southern Miss, because Alabama faced Southern Miss earlier this year here in Tuscaloosa during a midweek game on a Wednesday.
Yeah, that's, there's an old saying they're midweeks. You kind of throw midweeks out the door. We've seen that before. Because you really Southern Miss pitching a whole staff type of deal.
Yeah.
Matt Adams coming back from injury. He wasn't fully healthy yet during that game. So I don't know. Interesting game. It depends on, pitching. Once again, pitching. Who does Alabama throw? Southern Miss has won 18 of their last 19 games. Their offense has been really potent this year. Does Alabama have an arm that can come in as their number two and control that? And for Southern Miss, it all depends on who you pitch on Friday. If you pitch JB, you're going to have Matt Adams step up. If Matt Adams pitches, you're going to have JB. Or if Graydon Harris pitches, you're going to have Matt Adams step up. Just depends on what they do on Friday nights. Love to see JB Middleton Alabama matchup. JB 10-1 with a 2 ERA, won the Boo Ferris Award in the state this year for best player. So he's a guy that's a top 25 pick in the Major League Draft. Love to see him against Alabama.
I'm actually trying to pull up the score of that midweek game, because if memory serves me
10-6. 10-6.
Even with it being a midweek game, that was a close and good baseball game. So only imagine what it would be on Saturday with starters on the weekend rotation.
Yeah, I just think, midweek games are what they are. They're midweek games.
Yeah.
Some schools play them to win, and they early in the season they'll start a weekend guy during the midweek to build up some wins. Some schools keep their rotations on the weekend and then still, go Johnny Holstaff or maybe pitch a young guy during the middle of the week. So they really can't look at midweek games when you go into regionals and try to determine much, especially early in the season by that. So I just don't think that game is indicative of what it'll be when these two teams play.
Heath, fun question for you. I've asked everybody on the show. Well, it's a bad news question, then a good news question. And we'll start with the bad news first. If Southern does not make it out of this region, what's one thing that Southern has struggled with somewhat this season that could come back to bite them, that they would not advance out of the regional? What would you guess that is?
It's a lot of people's problem, I think, especially offensively at the plate. Southern doesn't have an issue with velo. They don't have an issue with power arms. They hit those pretty well. What they have an issue with are lefties that are crafty, because you don't see many of them. You get a guy up there throwing 87, 88 and an off-speed pitch, around 82, and an old looping curve that comes in at 72 that you got to have a sundial the time. You you don't see many of those. And I have watched many a lefty. We call him crafty lefty, the crafty lefty curse in Hattiesburg. Seen many a crafty lefty come in and dominate Southern Miss's lineup. And then we've seen guys that, touch 97, 98, 99 that Southern Miss had just ripped to shreds. So it's always those crafty lefties that you, if you're a Southern Miss fan, you see one take the mound, you just kind of squints and just shake your head, because that has been such a kryptonite for Southern Miss this year. And I think for a lot of teams, those crafty lefties, or even sometimes a crafty righty who knows how to pitch, I think those are kryptonite for teams because of all the power arms out there today.
Yeah.
And the backside of that question is, which is the good news part. Tell me one pitcher and one hitter. It could be a weekend pitcher. It could be a midweek guy. It could be a bullpen guy. As far as the hitter, it could be someone in the bottom third. It could be an all-conference guy, whoever it might be. But who is the one pitcher that needs to step up and one hitter that needs to step up that could take Southern Miss to Omaha in this postseason?
One hitter I'm going to say is Carson Pato in right field. Okay. He did not have a good tournament, struck out 8 times. The Sunbelt tournament. I don't think that's going to happen at home. I think he's going to bounce back from that. I think the fact that, he was struggling, I think it showed in the championship game where they had bases loaded 3 times and couldn't get a run in from it. I only got 1 run out of those chances. So, yeah, and he was at the plate. So I could see him. That's one guy that's could step up and be a big difference. And pitching wise, I think it's Josh Ock. Josh Ock's been an arm last year that was pretty dominating coming out of the pen, and this year he's had problems locating his fastball. But he has a wicked 2-seam, and his arm delivery is he's a slinger. And he's 92, 93 on the fastball. And that 2-seam, I don't know if you ever saw Greg Maddox pitch, but against a lefty, it just breaks hard into a lefty and or breaks away from a lefty, and he throws it on the inside and it cuts back and into a righty. It just kind of breaks into a righty away from a lefty, and it's such a tough pitch to hit along with that slider. So I think those are 2 guys that you need to look at, put circles around. They'll step up. If they step up, Southern's going to have a really, really good opportunity to get out of this regional.
So, Heath, you cover Southern Miss baseball on a regular basis. What is the ceiling, in your opinion, for this baseball team in the postseason?
I think going to Omaha. I really do. I think they've got as good a chance as anybody. They've done it. As I said, they've done it before. Look, this team, it's a mature team. It's a veteran team. So the situation is not going to be too big for them.
Right.
Going into Vanderbilt, if say it was happen and Vanderbilt, that scene is not going to be too big for Southern Miss. Mm-hmm. They played in environments. That's not going to be nothing to them. I mean, they played in Mississippi State in front. It's not that's not a big environment for them. So, I think with the veteran leadership on this team, I think they have what it takes to get to Omaha. Got to have the breaks go your way. You got to have some guys step up that haven't all season. But yeah, this team has the chance and has the team to do it.
And Heath, a quick follow-up to that. Looking at the Nashville Regional, which team out of that regional would you guys like to face that would be somewhat easier to get to Omaha?
Who's the 4th seed up there? The 4th seed, whoever. Right
state is the 4th seed.
Right
3
state,
seed is ETSU.
Give me right state.
No Louisville, no Vandy. Got it.
No Louisville, no Vandy. Just get right. And plus, it would, at that point, the super regional would, if Southern was to make it through, would be in Hattiesburg.
Right.
So, it's not going to be easy. Every team's good. So, just do what you got to control what you can control. Win your regional and see what happens. Look, what was it? A couple of years ago, they went to Auburn, and Auburn went doing a barbecue, and Southern Miss won the regional. They ended up hosting the Supers. So, strange things happen. You just got to play the game and see what happens and let things progress. And baseball is a crazy game, guys. It is a crazy game. That's what makes it so good. Only sport in the world where 30% of the time gets you in the Hall of Fame. Being successful 30% of the time in baseball gets you in the Hall of Fame. That's what's great about baseball. It's the difficulty and,
Yeah.
it's just,
So,
it's incredible.
So, Heath, as we walk out the door on this interview, I do have one burning question. All of the dominance that Southern Miss is having right now, how are they doing it in the world of the NIL and the transfer portal, in your opinion?
I think one thing they do is they develop. You look at the guys on the roster, there are only 2 guys in the lineup that are transfer guys. The rest of them are homegrown. They do a good job of keeping players in. They recruit them. They keep them in. Southern has such a great, the culture there is incredible. And Southern does have a pretty good NIL when it comes to baseball. So they're able to take care of things on that end. The culture, the type of players you recruit, if you recruit players, and they recruit a lot of guys that are close to Hattiesburg, that matters. That matters. There's a lot of good baseball played in South Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. There's a lot of good high school JUCO baseball play where you can get a lot of good players and a championship level team in that area. So they can do a good job of holding on the local guys and also building a culture. And they do go to transfer portal, but when they do, they usually hit. And like Higdon and Urban, only really 2 big transfer portal guys, and they both start. So they do a good job of not, using the portal to build a team. They use a portal to make the team better.
So, Heath, look, man, enjoy covering the Hattiesburg Regional. Good luck to Southern Miss down there, and hopefully you guys can win and play either Vanderbilt or host a super regional if somebody else comes out of the Vandy Regional, my friend.
Well, thank you. It's going to be fun. Fun atmosphere down here this weekend. Hattiesburg should be a blast, and yeah, looking forward to it. Let's see what happens. Got to play the game, so start tomorrow.
And Heath, you're not apologizing for no Applebee's, are you?
No, I am not apologizing for no Applebee's. We have a Chili's. We have an O'Charlie. No, we don't even have an O'Charlie. Maybe we do. I can't. No, I think O'Charlie's is gone. I don't know. We don't have many of the chain places. Hattiesburg is more of a, locally owned. Robert St. John's. If you don't, man, that man can cook. Those type of places, Mugshots, Ed's, Crescent City. One of Steven's favorite places, Crescent City.
You got that right.
There's just too many good places in Hattiesburg to worry about an Applebee's. So yeah, if you want to go to Applebee's, go 30 miles north of Laurel. There's one up there.
Gotcha.
Hey, Heath, one question before we let you go. If you had to tell everybody that's coming in, folks from Columbia, Tuscaloosa, Miami, your top 5 restaurants there in Hattiesburg, where are you sending them?
Okay, I'm going to Crescent City for one, because I got to go with Steven on that one. I'm gonna go Crescent City.
So get some Cajun cooking there in Crescent City.
Oh yeah, 2. I'm gonna go Ed's Burger Joint. 3, Mugshots. Mugshots is great. A lot of places have Mugshots. 4, 4th Street Bar and Grill has one of the best plate lunches you'll ever get in your life. And so 5 is pretty. Got it. Yeah, and 5 is close to the stadium. It's a lunch, all you can eat buffet called Strix. If you ever get a chance to go to Strix, yeah, that's just old fashioned Southern greasy spoon nastiness that they don't judge how much sugar they put in their tea or how much sugar they put in their desserts. It's just pure nasty, good Southern home cooking. And those would be my top 5. And I would probably say like an honorable mention, just an honorable mention for me would be Mario's and Tabella's. Those would be 2 honorable mentions.
Dude, I cannot believe you didn't put Keg and Barrel in there.
Well, Keg and Barrel is a good spot. It's more of to me, it's still a big time bar spot that has food instead of a restaurant that has a bar. You get what I'm saying? It's like there's a little difference there. So, but there's a lot of good spots downtown too. Don't forget to go downtown. So, Hattiesburg's got plenty of places to eat. Look, we like to eat in Hattiesburg. And by the way, number 2, it's crawfish season.
Yes.
You can get all the crawfish you want right now. And I need about 10 pounds myself. I could eat. So there you go.
All right.
If Southern is hosting the Super Regional, we're going to get your top 5 gas station spots of where we can eat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Rose's Quick Stop, baby. I'd put that on one of the top 10 places to eat in Hattiesburg. 49 South, Rose's Quick Stop.
Gotcha.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, y'all have a good one, fellas.
Hey.
Heath, Steven. God bless, guys. Thanks.
Hey, Heath, just for you, my friend, I know I'm going to be kicked off of the Tide 100, but for you, Southern Miss to the top, man. Good luck.
Thank you, guys. God bless.
All right.
Be good, Heath. Have a fun weekend, brother.
You too, Heath.
Okay, so we've got one segment left. So when we come back, we are going to be joined by the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Mr. Andy Burcham, as Auburn is hosting a regional and the Tigers are actually making history for the first time there, as they are really, really good in baseball this year. And we will talk with Andy Burcham right after this commercial break. The Heath, Hinton, if you're still listening, thank you, buddy, because that was a blast and an awesome interview.